So everyone has done this exercise. Simon? Almost. So what basically we learned by doing this? So I'm doing the same thing with only one user and one folder. Just please watch carefully, and then we will be installing our server in the environment. So computer management, local users and groups, users, and I have two users here. So I'm not going to create another one. I'm good with that. So this user is member of users only. It's not administrator. Let me open the file explorer. On my C drive, I have one test folder here. On test folder, what the permissions I assigned that day. So everyone has a read and change permission. I'm going to change it. I'm removing the change permission from everyone, and let me add both of the users here. NP user 1 and then so if I click on the first user, I can change its permission to change, read and change. And the second user, I can give him the full access. Now everyone has read only. User 1 has change permission and user 2 has full permission. Let me apply it. I'm leaving it here and coming to the second PC. So first thing, when we are in peer-to-peer network where we are having shared resources on each and every PC, and each PC is sharing its resources with others PC, the first thing is we have the same user name and account, same user accounts on each and every PC. Otherwise, we cannot access the resources. Those are sitting on the others' computers. The second thing, the permissions. The first, see, now I don't have user account. Their user account cannot come and log in here and access the resources sitting on the network anywhere. So NP user 1 and why I'm unselecting this option, the user must change password and next logon. Now you guys have tried logging in multiple times. So if this is the case, then whenever I will log in the first time, I will have to change my password. So that I doesn't want, right? So if I will keep changing the password, it takes longer time. The second option, user cannot change password. If we are choosing this one, user will not be able to change the password at all. Password never expires. So whatever the password we are adding, it will not expire. It will supersede the permissions we have by the group policy. If we have any other policies, we are not going to talk about group policies, those things. Just if we have some policy in the environment for some type of user password expiry, that will not going to work. This will take precedence. This expiry one. So that password will not getting expired ever, and that's a security threat again. So we don't use this one as well. And if we want this account to stay in a disabled state, then we can use the fourth option, account is disabled. And sometimes first time when we create the users, we sometimes create with the disabled state. There are states where we have to create like this. So there is option. So usually in production environments we create the user accounts with this, the first option, user must change password at first logon. So as administrators creates the accounts and then hands over to the relative users, right? So the user when log in, they can change the password. So only user will know the password when he will be able to change it. So in labs environment, always remember we are not going to choose anyone. We will go with the blank. So now I have two user accounts on this PC as well. So let me log in with the second user account I created just. So I can save it. What the permissions I have on the second user? The user 1 has change permission as well. If I just remove the change permission instead of logging again and again, if I remove the change, then what will be the result now? So can I type now?
Yes.
Can I save now? Who said no? Wow, genius guys. So see, when we have read permissions, we cannot change. This way we test the permissions. These are just the shared permissions. We don't depend on the shared permissions. We depend on NTFS permissions. And what is NTFS? So if I'm going back on my PC1, the second tab on the folder, let me cancel it, and this one is my folder, right? I went to the properties of this folder. One is sharing tab to share the resources, and then we have security tab. What the difference?
The difference between the
Shared permissions and the NTFS permissions.
shared permissions are within your network. other users can access, that's the permission for other users from within your network. And NTFS permissions are for local users. Basically, it applies the permissions on the file.
So if we are accessing the resource over the network, we need a shared resource. If it's not a shared resource, we cannot access that resource over the network. As we did while sitting on the second machine, we are accessing the folder on the first machine. See over here, it's showing network PC1. I'm on PC2, and it's showing network PC1, and this folder belongs to PC1. If I did not share this resource, can I access that folder here? We cannot. See, if I am creating another folder here on this machine, test2, I did not share this resource with anyone. Come to the second PC and try to access that. First, it's not showing here if I'm typing only the target PC name, and if I try test2, so Windows cannot access test2 folder. Check the spelling or the name, whatever they think, right? There can be the issues. So without sharing, we cannot access the resource over the network. The second thing, then we share, okay, the guys we are sharing, either we are sharing with everyone or I'm just sharing with the Jun, right? If I'm sharing with the Jun will be able to access the resource, otherwise no one else. So let's try. On test 1, properties and security, and let me add some user here. Add, I'm logged in with the user 1, so I will go with user 1. And user 1, I'm giving it a permission. So it's list folder contents. Apply. As we have everyone permission, everyone folder, default folder in sharing permissions, in NTFS permissions we always have users folder. So users mean everyone belongs to this PC. Whichever the server is, PC is, it's always gets created one user's account. So it's already there, so it has all read, execute permissions already. So we are removing this folder. Okay. No. Sticker. By default. We have now system and administrators.
And that's it, yeah.
Yes, access is denied.
So this was authenticated group.
So you guys are doing your own class? So guys, share permissions, we have shared permissions and then NTFS permissions. NTFS stands for new technology. So in shared permissions, either we have shared with the read permissions only, change permission, full access. When we will be applying NTFS permissions will take over. It will be superseding all of the permissions we have already assigned. So if it's a list folder contents and NTFS permission, we can go in nitty-gritty, as we can see in here on any folder how much permissions we have here. Every time new experience. You must have read permissions to view the properties of this object. So we
Yeah, we applied it on the same.
right. So we cannot now see the contents of this file even. So list folder contents, right?
Because we have to log in with admin to change it.
Yeah. So see this much permissions: full control, modify, read and execute, list folder contents, read and write. We may go in the nitty gritty, and we may go in the more nitty gritty, and we will discuss these things in coming classes. So if any of the permissions we have assigned here, we can go for that. And if we are assigning deny permissions, we are adding and denying it. Deny permission will take over. Either we have full control on the file, and in deny side we have just read deny, write deny. It will take over. The deny permissions will take over all the time. So NTFS permission is not our topic of today, but we just as we did the shared permission, I wanted to a little bit discussion on the NTFS. So what are the rules, Sayyid Saab? What we have learned so far? So shared permissions allow us to access the shared resources over the network according to the permissions. And then what is NTFS permissions?
File system.
Yeah, it's file system permissions. What else?
Local
Hmm?
Local system.
Be loud so rest of the class can listen. Locally on the files and folders, and then what it will do? So it will take precedence in case of any conflict with shared permissions. And deny will supersede all of the permissions. फ़ॉन्ट बड़ा कर दें, जो कह रहे हैं उनको तो ज़रूरत ही नहीं है। Is it okay?
Yeah.
I will have to move it. So let me a little bit smaller. So can we stay up till 2? No? Have to go, John? You do some job? Oh. Pardon? Until 2, but few of them not. So tomorrow we will discuss first IP addressing, and then we will add a server. Bigger? You need bigger? It's fine.